So I get a lot of questions on what I charge for the projects that are on this channel. I'm gonna go through each project starting from the first one and all the way up to the most current, tell you exactly what I charge or what I would charge if I was selling it today. How you doing? I'm Matt with 731woodworks.com. On this channel, we build awesome projects with basic tools. I also give out woodworking business advice to hopefully help you take your woodworking business to the next level and you can make some money woodworking. You can build any of these products by checking out the links in the description below. There's build videos on every one I talk about. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click that bell right beside it so you get notified of all the new content we got coming. And I'm trying to push out a bunch of it. So let's get to watching. Now these prices will depend on your area. I'm in South Arkansas, pretty rural. The county I live in has about 20,000 people. The town actually has 10,000 people. So you have to take that type of into account. My customer base is smaller. I take that into account when I'm pricing my items. I also have to take into account that this is made out of construction grade lumber, most of it, and we're not building, heirloom pieces. This is rustic farmhouse type project. So the first project here is just a simple bench that we made to store shoes on. It's like an entryway bench. You can put your shoes underneath it and it gets some storage on top, a little seating area where you can actually put your shoes on. The older I get, the more I need to sit down and put my shoes on, That project is made out of two 2x6s and one 2x4. And yes, I said 2x4 again. And also two 1x4s. So the material cost on this is fairly low. I charge about $85 for one of those benches. So next, we're going to talk about the very popular DIY Farmhouse End Table that I make. These tables are typically on the top 28 inches square. I wouldn't sell one of those for less than about $175 to $200 depending on the finish. If I have to stain and paint, charge closer to $200 because it's a little more work. If you have to just paint the whole thing, you can assemble it and then paint it, about $175. Again, you have to take into consideration these are made out of all construction grade pine and spruce. This very simple DIY bench right here is extremely simple to make. It's either 90-degree cuts or 10-degree cuts for the legs. Very simple, very quick to make, extremely easy to make. I've sold several of these. These are some of those things that you can actually crank out pretty quickly, make 3-4 of them, put them for sale, paint them different colors. That combination of stained and paint works really well. A lot of people like that, whether it be a dark walnut top or a special walnut top. Just depends on what people's tastes are. These are great little benches for the home. I sell these for $65 because you can buy a few boards and make several of these out of. So again, on the dog kennel, $550 to $600 for one this size. This is a fairly large project. $350 is what I actually charge the customer for that one. I would not build it for that unless you're trying to gain experience and a customer. That's perfectly fine on any of these projects. Charge a little lower so that you can gain a customer or the experience of building it. But if I was building this today, $550 to $600 I wouldn't go any lower than that. So this laundry basket sorter was a beast. Man, this thing is ginormous. And it's not typical that you're going to build one this size. This was built for like a karate room, I think, or some type of activity room where people were going to be storing items in those baskets. Pull the baskets out, store it in there. This thing was a beast to make. $350 minimum. This thing was really heavy. It was a lot of work. It doesn't look like it, but that's what I would charge. Again, on the stove covers, $100 locally, $130 if you have to ship it. That's what I charge. That seems to work out fairly well for me, especially when you start making them in bulk. So this farmhouse coffee table is a really big coffee table. It takes quite a bit of work to build one. It takes quite a bit of time to build one. I charge no less than $350 for one this size. I wouldn't be ashamed to charge $425 for one this size because it is so large, because it takes so much time. There's so many steps involved to build it. It's worth it. So on this very simple DIY farmhouse bed frame, we're talking $100, $150. It's 1x4s, it's 2x4s, it's a 2x6. That's it. It's all screwed and glued together. There's no complicated joinery here. It's all square cut. It goes together pretty quick. I'm thinking like $125 would be a fair price. So on YouTube, as well as in life, you have some regrets. One of my regrets is this DIY desk that I put in 3 parts instead of just one build video. But I was learning, but you can check out all 3 parts if you want. I would appreciate it actually. But this desk is a really nice desk. It has 4 drawers. It was actually one of my first time ever making drawers, but it come out exceptional, I think, especially for a beginner. So I charged a little less because I wanted the job. I wanted to be able to build this thing. I actually messed up on this thing and put the drawers on the wrong side. I had to flip it. It was a whole thing. You should watch the video and check it out. So a desk like this, if you went to a store and bought it, you're going to be looking at a $350, $400 range, I would think. This one was unfinished because the customer wanted to paint it themselves. So I left it unfinished, so I charged less because of that. $250, $275. So on my flags that I build, I've got a few different versions of those. I charge anywhere between $175 and $250. It just depends on what they want. The Marine Corps flag you've seen here, this was a one-off piece. I only wanted to make a unique piece, so I sold that one for $300 because it was the only one I was ever going to make. I'm not going to make another one. I wanted to have something unique. There's one of those in the world unless you make it, and then there'll be two of those. These small farmhouse end tables, obviously there's less work, so you want to charge less money. We're talking $125 max, probably closer to $100 because they are all quite small. Farmhouse console tables, coffee bars, whatever you want to call them. These things are popular. I'm telling you, if you build one of these, you will probably sell it pretty quick. I actually sold this one for $175 because I gave them a deal because they were buying the entire set of coffee, that coffee bar, a bench, and a table. However, standing alone, this thing is going to be $275 to $300. I think that's a fair price. You can do tons of things with this. This thing has lots of storage. It takes a pretty decent amount of time to build one. They look fantastic. That's the price I would charge. My farmhouse dining tables, I start those at $550. That's for a 5 foot long by 30-inch wide table at standard table height. That's what I charge. I don't care if I'm painting, I'm staining it. That's the price we're starting at, and then we're going up from there. They're heavy, they take quite a bit of time to make, and they look good. And so if you, just depends on the finish. If you want an antiquing finish like on my dining room table, we have to charge extra for that because it takes quite a bit more work to do it that way. And if you get a bigger table, I have to charge more because of how big it is. Because obviously a bigger table is going to take more material, it's going to take more time to make, and you're going to have more overhead. My farmhouse benches, if you buy them separately as individual benches, they're $150. If you buy them with a table, I charge $100 with the table. Blanket ladder, and this is like a very simple project. Don't overcharge for these things, like 60, 70 bucks. I built my wife this purse storage. I didn't charge her because I'm not an idiot. I want her to have a place to store her handbags. I wouldn't charge somebody to do this because I'm not building another one. Because I don't want to do work in homes. I don't want to have to buy contractor insurance and deal with all that. This litter box, pretty cool project. I don't have cats. We have dogs. I'm a dog person, not a cat person. These things are pretty cool. $250, $275 on the litter box. Tool cart, about $125 maximum if you're going to make that for somebody else. That's all I would charge. As far as TV stands go, I've got 3 TV stands on this channel. This first one with doors, I'm not selling one of those for less than $500. Those are a lot of work. Those are kind of challenging if you've never done doors before. I'm not really a door guy. I suck at doing doors, I'm gonna be honest with you. But this one come out really nice. I liked how it come out. $500 base minimum, probably gonna be about $550 to cover the cost of time and material on this one. So on this simple modern TV stand with just a hairpin legs, it's just 2x8s. I think is what I used on it. $150, probably maxed out. On the farmhouse one we built for ourselves, with the shiplap ends, I'm doing $650 on that one. That thing is massive. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time and effort when it's built like this to look like this. $650 bare minimum. This tiny side table that I make, you're looking at about 75 bucks. And I wouldn't probably go more than that because they're super simple, they're super small. Christmas tree boxes, these aren't very popular. I've sold one, 75 bucks. This Christmas tree village gets a lot of views, but right now at a year, it's got 28,000 views. I haven't been asked to make any more of these. I've only made the one for one person. About $125, probably all I charge. DIY plywood shelf, very easy, very simple. About $150 because it's sanded plywood. Sanded plywood is expensive. As the price of that goes up, so will this DIY shelf. Frame chalkboard, pretty cool. I don't use one. We're looking at about 75 bucks. There's not a lot of material in it. It's just some Luan or 1/4-inch plywood with a 1x around it, stained and painted with chalkboard paint, stained a frame. Pretty simple project, 75 bucks. Another small end table, 75 bucks. I mean, they're so simple. There's not a lot to them. You shouldn't be charging a whole lot for them. Farmhouse coffee table, extremely popular, both on YouTube as well as being able to sell these things. You can push these things to a lot of people. A lot of people love this look. I highly recommend if you have a place to put one of these, you can build one and sell it no less. I don't charge any less than $350 if it's got breadboard ends. If you're just gonna do straight boards, no breadboard ends, you can probably get away with about $300, no less than $350. If you charge $400 for it, I wouldn't be mad at you. This DIY bar, you can use these as, you can actually shorten this and make it a desk, a very simple looking desk. You can make this a coffee bar. You can make this for extra counter space. These things are so useful. They are very popular. About $275. This dog bed, we built this out of black willow. I've never used black willow. I picked it up when I bought some white oak from a guy. He had some extra laying around. He gave it to me. I appreciate that. So I'd never used it. It's a really soft wood. It's actually softer than spruce, so I wouldn't recommend it on any table builds. However, this makes for a really unique look for a dog bed. we're talking about $150 on that. Rolling library cart, pretty cool. My wife uses it in her classroom. She really likes it. So if I was building one of those for a customer, about $125. This DIY desk with a drawer, this is a great little desk. Has a single drawer in it. I built this for my wife. If I was building it for a customer, it'd be about $225. This DIY modern dresser that I built as a gift for my daughter, if I was building another one like it, $550 bare minimum. There's a ton of drawers in this thing. It is so heavy built. It's such a nice looking piece. When you see it in person, I am more proud of that build than I am any other build that I've done. I love how it came out. There are some imperfections in it. That's just the way we are. We're imperfect beings, so we build imperfect things. I love this dresser. I was so excited to give it to her, and I would not build another one like it for less than $550. I really like this Farmhouse sofa table. It's a very unique looking with that X in the back. Pretty easy to build. I sell those for about $225. There's not a whole lot of material in them. They're fairly quick to make. They look really nice. DIY modern nightstand I made for myself actually. My wife came up with this design. She comes up with most of our designs. Let's be honest. She's extremely talented. So this DIY modern nightstand, it's just hairpin legs I got off Amazon. And then I made a box out of plywood. Extremely simple. It depends on how much you can get those hairpin legs for, what you sell this for, because those prices fluctuate. Sometimes those are harder to find, depending on what size you need. But if you can get a decent deal on the hairpin leg, then I'm looking at about $150 tops. This couple's love sign, it went through many reiterations while we were making it. She changed her mind a time or two. That's okay, she's allowed to do that. If we made one of these for a customer, $175 to $200, depending on the style and the size. Floating plywood shelves. See that bug? Get in my face. Floating plywood shelves. I wouldn't do those because I don't have a contractor's insurance and I'm not going to go to somebody's home and build those, so I can't help you. So this DIY daybed was a really cool build. Again, my wife's design, and I really like how it turned out. It's extremely useful for a smaller bedroom. I love this little bed. I wouldn't charge less than $250 for it. We're probably creeping up to $75, $300 range if I was building it for a customer. Little floating nightstand, pretty easy build, pretty simple, $75 max. And that's a rundown of all the projects that I've made in the past and what I would actually charge for them today with the lumber prices, with my experience level, etc. This video didn't have a power tip. Yeah, you know what time it is. Power tip time. So I just kind of priced my own video or all of my own projects. So the power tip, I guess, would be price your projects however you want to. They're yours. I try to be fair. I try to get my prices set according to where I live and the type of projects that I'm building. If you're going to build these type projects, I would keep them pretty close to what I priced them at. But that's just me. If you can get more for them or they're really hot sellers, you can raise your price. That's supply and demand. And don't be afraid that if a product is selling like hotcakes, to raise your price a little bit and make you a little more profit on that to make up for some of your overhead that you're spending on your tools, your supplies, your electricity, all that good stuff. Because a lot of times we actually forget about the overhead. We only figure in the supplies and our time, but screws, glue, sandpaper, all that stuff, electricity, everything, all that goes into there. So if you raise your prices up a little bit, I'm not gonna be mad. If you like this video series on the woodworking business and what we're charging, and how to sell your products, as well as how to sell your products on Etsy, how to make money woodworking, drop a comment below, let me know that. If you'll click on this set of videos right there, that's a playlist all about the woodworking business. My sincerest appreciation for you watching these videos. I'm gonna give you a virtual fist bump just for watching today. Thank you so much. Stay tuned because we got some pretty cool build videos coming up in the very near future.